Hi, I'm Chad with Move For Guitar. This lesson is from our series, How to Read Music for Guitar. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about rhythm/notation. First off, if you like all the diagrams for this series, including the diagrams for this lesson, you can download our free e-guide, How to Read Music for Guitar. But I am working on it right now as I'm filming this lesson, so it might not be available as you're watching this lesson. If it is available, a link will pop up on the screen that'll allow you to download it. And like I said, it's free, so there's no reason not to download it when it is available. This is part 29 from our series, How to Read Music for Guitar. If you'd like to go back and start at the beginning, you can click the link on the screen. So far when we've been talking about notes and note values, everything has looked like this. We've had the different note values, but they've all been represented as pitches, meaning that where they land on the staff determines whether they're a high pitch or low pitch. And what's shown in all of these is an A note, but if we raised them up to here, for example, that would be an E note and etc. So that would be higher in pitch. If it was down here, that would be lower in pitch. But there's going to be times in music notation where you need to represent rhythm and note values without representing pitch, because you're not actually talking about specific pitches, or with guitar a lot of times is because you're actually just playing chords and the chords will be written above the staff, but you need some sort of rhythm notation to represent what you need to actually strum out. And you do that with rhythm/notation. So everything on your screen right now is the same note value as these, what I originally showed you, which these are all represented as A notes, but we have the whole note, the half note, the quarter note, eighth note, and 16th note that we've gone over multiple times. Now we have the same values, whole note, half note, quarter note, eighth note, 16th note, but these aren't representing specific pitches. When you see this type of notation, it doesn't matter that these are coming through on the B line, they're not representing Bs. When they're drawn like this, they're just representing a note value or a rhythmic value, they're not representing a pitch. And so you can see the whole note is drawn with this kind of rectangle turned sideways. The half note is the same thing except it has a stem. The quarter note is just a slash with the stem. The eighth note is just a slash with the stem and the flag like an eighth note has. And the 16th note is just a slash with the stem and two flags like a 16th note has. And sometimes you'll see the whole note and the half note drawn with more of a slash like this, but then they're not filled in instead of this more rectangular diamond type of shape. So that would represent the same thing, and sometimes you see them drawn a little different as well. But anytime you see an outline with nothing inside, it's not filled in, and no stem, that's a whole note. Anytime you see the same thing with the stem, that's a half note. And the way you might see these represented in an actual piece of music would be something like this, where they would be under chords that are written above the staff, and these are just representing different chords that you'd play, an A7, E7, A7. It could be any chord, but then these are just representing what you would actually strum. When you're talking about a guitar, you would usually be strumming these rhythmic values. So you'd hold an A7 chord, strum it once, and let that value go through the whole measure as a whole note in 4/4 time. Then you'd strum 2 quarter notes, and then you'd strum 2 eighth notes, 4 16th notes, and so on. And you can see that when 8th notes and 16th notes are joined, they're joined with beams just like they are normally. So just be aware of that. When you see something like this, it's not representing an actual pitch, it's just representing the actual rhythm. And on guitar, when you see chords above, that's usually representing to strum these rhythms out. Another way you might see rhythm slashes is like this. You still have these chords above representing what chords to play in what part of the measure, but these slashes are just representing the beat. They're not representing a specific rhythm notation like this is, a specific rhythmic values. Usually when you see this, you have the freedom to strum whatever strumming pattern fits within this 4/4 time within each bar. These are just representing where the beats are. Sometimes it could represent that you're doing a strum on each of these quarter notes or each of those beats, depending on the time signature. But usually it's representing that it's up to you to come up with the actual rhythm and fit it within each of these bars in whatever the time signature is saying. So then you have the ability to subdivide these into whatever fits in that situation. Because in a lot of songs you actually have a lot of freedom for what your strumming patterns are. There's tons of strumming patterns that'll fit within the same bar in different time signatures just by the way you subdivide the beat. And the type of strumming pattern you use just depends on the feel of the song. So that's an explanation of rhythm / notation. Go ahead and move on to the next lesson where I'm going to talk about intervals and chords. And be sure to download the e-guide. All the diagrams are in there, and be sure to subscribe because we had at least one new lesson every day.